Heidi ho, everybody. I was just giggling to myself a little bit. I don't think I'm ever as regimented and scheduled and on timed as I are for these workshops. So, thank you, lovely people, for tuning in. Whether you're live with us, whether you are catching the replay of this, um, for joining us, and for hey, Kiesta girl, I heard you had a fun lunch meetup today, so that's cool. I'm excited. Well, Lauren filled me in. That's fun. But as we're coming into holiday season, many people spend a lot of their time with loved ones. And while the tone of that is usually upbeat and joyful, when some people think of their bloodlines, all they can see is the red of lacking health. Okay. Diabetes, cancer, mental health concerns that run down mom's side, osteoporosis, and thyroid disorders that plague dad's side. This, that, and the other thing. What a crappy hand I've been dealt. Well, I am here with you tonight to break the wheel of health, or the inheritance of health, rather, as we have been taught it. So, I'm Dr. Mark, tuning in with you for our newest Healthy Happy Home segment. A chunk of you know who I am, what I do, why I do it. But if you are new, I was going to say new to our show, new to our page, I'm a prenatal, pediatric, and family chiropractor, one of three here at Healing Touch Chiropractic. Between the three of us, we have a combined total of over 30 years taking care of folks and their kiddos. I myself have done hundreds of hours of postgraduate education, research, and training into all things health and wellness for kids and families. I also am repping the family health history that I briefly outlined earlier. So, in addition to some other ones that you might earmark as troublesome, yet I do not lose a wink of sleep overnight over any of them. And that's not because I'm like flippant and nonchalant either. I'm actually super chalant when we're talking about wellness and each of our own roles in our own health. My mission, my purpose, my passion is truly sharing the hope and expectancy of a radiantly beautiful life, especially as it relates to family health. So these two memes are going to set the tone for tonight. And maybe tone is not the word that I want to use, because to some, if you don't know me, these might be interpreted as cold and snarky. The one on the left, obesity runs in my family. Nobody runs in your family. And the first time I saw this meme, it was years ago, and diabetes was actually the inserted central disease condition, what have you, of attention. But when I did the search on Google, this one with obesity came up. And it was right around the time a friend of mine had a Snapchat story. And that's actually holiday decor on the right. It says, "Don't blame the holidays. Your pants didn't fit in August." And truly, it felt appropriate as we're coming into the holidays where many people are running off of sheer adrenaline and like junk food and making compromised health choices. And knowing that around 40% of Americans are obese, and roughly 13% of Americans are on really dangerous weight loss drugs, that I include the memes with obesity, okay? But if you're ready to grab the bull by the horns regarding any area of your health, regardless if we're talking about metabolic, cardiovascular, mental, overall joy, mental clarity, whatever it might be, insert your thing here. I am the rodeo announcer that's going to take you along for the ride. That probably isn't the correct analogy, but use whatever would be appropriate for the person that's here to share education, inspiration, some tangible guidance, all right? So actually just this past Monday, a patient came in and he gave me the perfect example to jump off of. So he was watching his nephew play tennis up in Grand Forks on Saturday. So from Fargo, we're looking at an hour's car ride there and an hour car ride back, in addition to the actual, like tournaments worth of time sitting in a bleacher. So luckily, this gentleman knew that 10 hours of sitting in a day was not going to do him any favors. He chose to walk the adjacent track in this gymnasium between his nephew's matches. Games? Matches? Meets? I'm not actually, I don't know tennis, so I don't know what they're called. If anyone has guidance for me, but regardless, when his nephew wasn't playing, this man was walking. How many other folks do you think he met walking on that track? There's hundreds of people here. How many people do you think he ran into, interfaced? And it's actually not meant to be a trick question, but it also is a little bit. Not a single one. He ran into 0 people. Now, remember, this track is literally around the perimeter of the tennis courts, so you didn't need to go anywhere. It's inside in the warmth. There's plenty of downtime between the games, and yet he still was the only one moving his body when the opportunity presented. I guarantee a majority of people in that gymnasium went home that night not feeling too awesome. Yeah, Kiesta, get it, girl. And Lo, you got it too. So those people went home, and I guarantee a majority of them were not feeling too awesome physically, but probably not so great emotionally, mentally. Maybe they felt slow and sluggish, even though there were things that they could have been doing to lessen that blow. This dude, super smart, he also knew that as soon as possible, he was coming in to get adjusted. So we saw him on Monday. And so for me, I fully acknowledge that everything in my world comes down to my personal responsibility. Health is no different, people. If it's going well, it's only because I've made choices to make that my health reality. If it's not looking so pretty, which I say this as we're coming into cold and flu season, where do I need to about face to do different and experience different? I want to pose a question. What does it mean to actually be healthy? When you think about health, what comes to mind? Is it you never have any issues? You don't have any symptoms? Is it having perfect lab results or objective metrics that fall within a green box? Anything outside is red. That's typically what happens in mainstream healthcare. We're often focused on managing symptoms. The goal is to get things like blood sugar, thyroid levels, or cholesterol. That's an awesome answer. Kiesta says, good night's sleep, feel alert and energetic. And really what that comes down to, or what I read from your answer, my dear, is being present with where and what your body is doing. And as soon as the head hits the pillow, knowing like, okay, this day is done, I'm ready for the next one. But most people, truly most people, are focused on getting things like the numbers we talked about, blood sugar, thyroid levels, cholesterol, into a normal range using medications or supplements. And while this approach maybe can be valuable, it truly only tells part of the story. So in our world, aka holistic health, we think of health as your body's overall ability to adapt to life, to everything, the physical, the mental, the emotional, what we consume, the technology we surround ourselves with. So getting sick isn't necessarily a sign of weakness. Having symptoms isn't a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign that your body is actively working to stay in balance. Take fever, for example. A fever is your immune system's way of fighting off infection, okay? Think about your dishwasher. Why does it get so cotton picking hot? It has to get hot. It has to in order to clean and stave off any issues that are in your food, on your dishes. The same thing with our bodies. So what if it wasn't about you not getting sick? It's how severe it is. How often is it? And how do you come through it? It's not about never getting sick. To be honest, if you never get sick, I'm also pretty dang concerned about you because your immune system is not able to get enough energy to create a fever, okay? That's not a good thing in terms of our health. So did you know that many cancer patients can't develop can't develop a fever, they actually have compromised immune systems. And because of this, they have a compromised ability to heal. A big celebratory milestone for folks in their cancer journeys is when they are finally able to mount a fever. So what if we shifted the focus to your ability to adapt to that fever and the amount of times per year that your body expresses that health with fever, with illness? It's not about the germ that's the issue. It's how your body responds to that germ that makes all the difference. So in this effect, we are going to redefine health as not about avoiding illnesses entirely, but as building resilience to navigate challenges. Health in this way is more like a muscle, okay? It grows stronger with use, especially when we embrace the process of adaptation. So just like we grow in life, overcoming challenges, we grow in health by letting our bodies see the environment and respond to that environment. So one of the needed paradigm shifts is to understand that we grow through challenge, not ease. To assume never being sick is a good thing is to assume never being challenged is a good thing. This is exactly why the medical model fails people and is failing people. Their goal is to have you asymptomatic or reach balanced XYZ levels, but your blood sugar, your thyroid markers, your blood pressure, your cholesterol, whatever it might be, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Drugs or supplements even to get your symptoms or labs within a normal range, followed by a congratulatory, you're healthy because you have perfect lab results. And this doesn't even just fall into medicine. Unfortunately, a lot of natural providers have fallen into this trap these days also. The holistic community is quick to bash medicine for what we call a pill for every ill, but then we turn around and give a supplement for every symptom. So I want to pose a fun little experiment we can play with. Most people would agree that the lower your pulse, the healthier a person typically is. So someone who moves their body, eats well, their pulse is probably going to be 50, 60, 70, okay? Anything, I think the metric, I don't think. What is accepted in the health community is a normal pulse should be between 60 and 100. Most people agree the lower your pulse, the healthier person. So generally speaking, what I want you to do is to take a second and find your pulse. So the easiest place to palpate the pulse on yourself is the carotid pulse. So here in the neck, this thick band of tissue, just in the midline, I want you to put your finger on it and just fall into that divot to the side. If you quit talking, Markel, you should be able to find it pretty easy. Okay, so I've got it. Okay, what I want you to do once you've found your pulse is I want you to take a deep breath in, and I want you to take a deep breath out. Now we're going to do a few more of those breaths. This time I want you to pay attention, and I want you to notice how your pulse speeds up when you inhale and how it slows down when you exhale. This might seem alarming until you know that it is not. So during respiration, intermittent vagus nerve activation occurs, which results in beat-to-beat variations in your resting heart rate. This phenomenon is actually called heart rate variability, and it typically indicates good cardiovascular health, being the strongest in those who are young, physically active. We actually measured this with technology here in our office, HRV. If you are a patient here, you're familiar with like the 3-minute 3-finger test where you sit nice and still and quiet. That's actually measuring just this. So higher variability correlates to stronger health in general, not just cardiovascular. So, however, if you did not know that knowledge and you were just to check your check your pulse, you might be alarmed to observe the uptick in your pulse when you breathe in. You might be alarmed to notice the difference when you breathe in versus when you breathe out. This is a similar thought process, okay? Knowing how to apply that information and use it. You can't just pick it out and say, oh, my blood pressure, my thyroid levels, my XYZ. It doesn't work like that. You are not like a compartmentalized in a vacuum being. You are a total system. So similar thought process. Have you heard it said before that often the first sign of heart disease is a heart attack? By outside metrics, all looks to be all right in the world, except I think we can all agree that building up to a heart attack, many health vulnerabilities have to domino into each other to culminate to that point. So what role do genes and environment play in all of this then? Since that's why you're here, right? Like, hey, I want things different. Many people believe that if their parents or grandparents have a certain disease or condition or are a certain way, that they're destined to get it too. But we're going to talk about why that's not the full story, okay? Epigenetics is a fascinating field that studies how our environment, the foods we eat, the stress we feel, the toxins we encounter influence how our genes express themselves. Think of your genes like switches. Epigenetic choices contribute to what genes or what gets turned on or expressed. You have far more control than you think, far more control than we've been told, honestly. So there's really powerful research out there showing that lifestyle changes can drastically alter health or outcomes. People predisposed to diabetes or heart disease, for example, can lower their risk dramatically, sometimes avoiding those things altogether with changes in diet, with stress management, with exercise. It's not about being trapped by your genes, folks. It's about adapting to the challenges your genes may present and overcoming them. I want to pose this. So the BRCA gene has become fairly well known. I think the general population knows it to be the breast cancer gene, specifically BRCA1 and 2. I see posts often from people saying that, my mom got tested and has the gene, my cousin has the gene, whoever has the gene. And now it's countdown to wondering who has it next. I'm going to share something with you. We all have the same genes. Every single person has BRCA and MTHFR2. If you want to go there, we all have those genes. So what is the difference? If BRCA gene causes cancer, how do we not all have breast cancer? Epigenetics. Did you know that only 30% of the people with breast cancer have the BRCA gene expression? Riddle me this. That's epigenetics, people. That means obesity, diabetes, thyroid diseases that they say run in the family. If you were to look at the lifestyle choices and what you do, how does that compare to your relatives? Oftentimes, we eat the same, we move the same, we think the same, we sleep the same, we stress the same. We are the same. We're going to do a little audit here. So I've got 6 categories parceled out on this funny little bullseye here. Obviously, this is a virtual presentation. You're watching this on a phone, a tablet, a laptop, what have you. But I will post these slides afterwards, so you can print this out if you want, but it will do the same thing to do this in your head. So in each category, I want you to give yourself a grade from 1 being poor, 10 being excellent, using this circle graph, okay? And be honest, this is for your awareness, for your growth. So looking at the food and drink category, how often do you eat whole unprocessed foods? Do you include a variety of vegetables, fruits, protein, and healthy fats in your diet? How much sugar, alcohol, and processed foods do you consume weekly? Are you consistent with drinking water? Is it filtered and clean? All of those would compromise what I would consider a 10 score. And you don't need to be like, ooh, maybe I'm in the middle, like go with your gut here, okay? So using this little bullseye, if you are 10, you essentially would color in all the way through from the middle out. If you gave yourself a 3, you'd color in 3 little pieces in that food and drink category. Moving down to movement. How many days a week do you engage in physical activity? Do you incorporate strength, flexibility, and cardiovascular exercise? How sedentary are you during a typical day? Moving down next to look at stress. How do you typically respond to stress? Are you practicing mindfulness, meditation, or gratitude? Do you express emotions openly and process them effectively? How much unresolved conflict or tension are you carrying? Moving over to sleep. How many hours of sleep do you get on an average night? Do you have a consistent sleep schedule? How often do you wake up feeling refreshed? Are you allowing time for rest and recovery during your day's activities? Environment. Do you spend time in clean, toxin-free spaces? How much time do you spend outdoors in the natural light? Are you exposed to harmful chemicals, pollutants, artificial light? Is your social environment supportive and positive? And then at the very top here, because in my mind and in my experience, it is the most important. Personal experience and experience working with a whole lot of people. Would you describe yourself as joyful, as fulfilled? How often do you engage in activities and interact with people who make you feel joyful? Do you have hobbies and pastimes just for the sake of enjoying them? Or is everything have to be for an outcome, for a metric? So once you've scored yourself, I want you to identify the category where you feel the most room for improvement. Because here's an empowering thought. Instead of seeing your family history as a death sentence or a life sentence, something you have forever, consider it a guide. Yes, you may have to be more mindful about certain areas of your health, but that awareness is a tool that you can use to live a healthier, more intentional life. So I want to outline, yes, I asked a few questions to get you thinking how you might possibly grade yourself 1 to 10 in these areas. But I want to share a few actions that you can take to strengthen your body's adaptability and give your genes the best chance to work in your favor, truly. So chiropractic deserves your family's first go-to for honestly everything. If you don't know why, you need to read and watch more of our content. But holistic chiropractic truly addresses the interconnectedness of the mind, the body, the spirit, and the environment in their roles in influencing health and wellness. Excuse me. Chiropractic adjustments focus on optimizing the function of the nervous system, which is responsible for every single process, every single function in the body. So misalignments in the spine can interfere with nerve signals, potentially contributing to stress, to dysfunction, to dis-ease, to chaos. Chaos is what it boils down to, okay? So those adjustments help to regulate the teeter-totter balance between what is called the sympathetic, your gas pedal, stress, protection, survival, and the brake pedal, rest, digest, and on the dark side, overwhelm, depression, shut down if there's too much. We need a mix of both, right? So when we say that it helps navigate that teeter-totter, that's exactly what we're talking about. Care with us at Healing Touch Chiropractic also emphasizes nutrition, exercise, mindfulness, emotional well-being, because as we said, we don't treat symptoms. You are an entire whole body being. Instead, chiropractic creates a foundation for the body to heal and thrive by influencing the environment in which your genes operate. So, in combination with understanding and leveraging epigenetics, chiropractic care truly aligns the body's natural capacity to express health through optimal gene regulation, okay? So together they offer a pathway to transformation that's as much about prevention as it is about healing. And if we're going to talk about lifestyle and behavioral practices, we're going to outline, as we talked, moving daily. Number 2, exercise is a powerful way to support your health. Regular movement just doesn't make you stronger physically. It also boosts your immune function. It lowers stress. It supports overall resilience. Research has actually shown physical activity can turn on the genes associated with brain plasticity. So particularly something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which basically boils down to improving your memory and your cognitive function. People with a family history of Alzheimer's have been shown to stave off symptoms with regular exercise. Number 3, good Z's. Prioritizing quality of sleep and quality and quantity of sleep truly is essential to helping your body to recover and rest. Good sleep supports not just like feeling refreshed, but cellular repair, hormonal imbalance, mental clarity. And I mean, how many shirts have we seen like, don't talk to me until I've had my morning coffee, or so not a morning person? Like, oh man, like there shouldn't be any parts of your day that are uglier than the rest. Like, are there tasks we don't like to do? Sure, of course, because we've got responsibilities and obligations. But like, there truly should not be any part of the day where you're like, I can't. No, it doesn't jive with me. Most people honestly don't realize how catastrophic it is to keep poor bedtime routines, or if you just don't have a routine at all. Your melatonin pump out actually happens between 9 and 10 p.m. So if you want to work with your hormones, you are in bed no later than 10. No later than 10. Okay. Number 4, eat real. Choosing whole foods over processed ones and being mindful of the chemicals in your environment. Reducing toxin exposure can help free up resources for other bodily functions and also boost your body's natural defense systems. So, fun fact, not a lot of people know this. Bees are born genetically identical, but what they eat determines their fate. So the larva fed royal jelly, that's actually what it's called, royal jelly, become the queens, while the others grow into worker bees. So a little diet change transform an ordinary bee into reality, kind of like a magical Cinderella story, but with snacks instead of shoes. Number 5, embracing life's challenges, which can be hard if you are in the middle of them, right? But instead of seeking a life without stress, which I hear so many people say, like, oh, as soon as I leave this job, as soon as I win the lottery, as soon as I have this conversation with so-and-so, things will be so much easier. When in reality, those experiences, those opportunities are there for a chance for us to communicate better, to have better boundaries with others and with ourselves, for so much grit and so many lessons. So instead of seeking for, how do I avoid the stress? Why don't you find healthy ways to cope with it? Stress isn't the enemy. It's prolonged stress and your unhealthy adaptation to it that can become harmful. Practicing resilience through challenges strengthens your adaptability. Studies from Holocaust survivors actually showed that the trauma that they endured left epigenetic scars on their DNA, specifically in genes related to the stress response. So, interestingly enough, these marks were also observed in their children and in their grandchildren, even though those children and grandchildren didn't experience the trauma directly. So when these descendants actively engaged in things like therapy, other productive stress management techniques, those epigenetic marks were actually shown to become less influential, less significant in their health outcomes. Excuse me. Number 6, supportive relationships. Surround yourself with people who uplift you. Relationships are a powerful component of health, and positive social interactions and connections have been shown to boost not just your emotional health, but also mental and physical. Emotions in relationships can epigenetically transfer to a partner. So stress in one partner can increase stress-related gene expression in the other, while happiness has the opposite. So happy couples tend to reinforce positive epigenetic changes in each other, creating a virtuous cycle of emotional well-being. Love doesn't just impact your own genes, it might reprogram your partner's epigenome too. We have experienced this so many times in the office when a child starts care or a partner starts care, and what they share that the rest of their family experiences is honestly just as, if not more, transformative for that family's overall quality of life than the actual person receiving care. Because as soon as one person starts the domino, I mean, like, who's to say how far that ripple goes? In the case of the Holocaust survivors, we're literally talking about generations. All of this actually is talking about generations. We're opening up this sphere to create health, not just for ourselves, but for those that are coming. Okay. So if you want to start chiseling away at creating forward growth and change for yourself, let's say you scored low in sleep in recovery, and you're like, I'm supposed to be in bed by 10. Crap. Maybe establishing a consistent earlier bedtime. And it doesn't need, if you're going to bed at 2 a.m., bump it up by an hour, folks. You don't need to completely 180 the ship right now. Start small. Maybe it's avoiding screens for an hour before bed. Maybe you experiment with relaxation techniques like deep breathing or herbal teas. Truly ask yourself, what habit can I improve in the next 7 days? And if you can't do it in that time, it's too big. The goal is too broad, okay? And then the cool thing is you get to just keep playing with that. And then you get to see what long-term changes can come when I implement this for a month, 90 days, what have you. So I want to leave you with a quote. Your genes are not your destiny. They're just the starting line. Hopefully, our time together helps up to see that your environment, your mindset, your choices are vital, if not more so than your genetic code. You might inherit all of the art supplies, but how you live truly determines what is created from it. If you need help determining which and what steps to take to start, or if you're looking for a holistic chiropractor to take care of you and your family, mind, body, spirit, we are here and ready to help. The QR code on this right will take you to our website to get started with us. The codes on the left are if you are looking to reach out. You can find us on Facebook, obviously. We're also on Instagram. Also, upcoming in the office, we've got so much excitement coming in December and ongoing. December 3rd at 5:30 will be our inaugural Rooted Connections meetup. Basically, it's not your mother's mother group, where I'll be answering the holistic health questions that you don't know who to ask. This first time, we're going to be outlining like the concept of less is more, what you actually need for your baby and young child, as well as some holiday activities to enrich your family time without spending a dime or just spending a few dimes. So some of them will be that also. And there's no need to be a Healing Touch patient. All is welcome. I will also post in here the Eventbrite link that you can sign up directly, because we do want to know if you're coming so we can plan accordingly. Here in the middle, Dr. Tiff on December 5th at 9:30 a.m. Dr. Tiff is going to be live here on Facebook with Standing for What You Believe In. December 19th at 1 p.m., I'll be sharing how to flip the Winter Blues script, okay? So until then, here is to your continual evolution and growth and to your healthy, happy home. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you soon.